The jungle fell silent. Not a chirp, not a rustle, nothing. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Captain Arya Kane crouched low behind a thick alien fern, her pulse hammering in her ears. She had walked these forests before, but never like this. The silence was alive, heavy, and waiting. "Why is it so quiet?" whispered Lieutenant Rico, his voice tight with fear. He adjusted the strap of his plasma rifle, eyes darting to every shadow. "I don't know," Arya muttered, scanning the alien trees that towered like ancient sentinels. Their bark shimmered faintly under the twin suns, each leaf glinting with sharp edges. "But stay sharp. Something's out there." A small figure emerged from the foliage, a child, barely 8, stepping cautiously. He clutched a scrappy honey-colored creature with sharp claws and a fearless glint in its eye. The animal sniffed the air, tail flicking nervously, sensing the tension. "Cal, stay close," Arya called. The boy froze, wide-eyed, as if feeling the jungle's pulse. "It's watching us." The words barely left her mouth when a distant crack echoed through the forest, like a tree snapping under impossible weight. The ground shivered beneath their feet. Rico's hand tightened on the rifle. "Movement," he hissed. Before Arya could respond, a shadow ripped across the canopy. Leaves exploded like green fire, and a massive shape hurtled toward the ground. It was a predator, unlike anything on Earth. A fusion of sinew and steel-colored scales, its 4 limbs tipped with claws that glinted in the sunlight. Its eyes burned a molten yellow, intelligent and cruel. Arya lunged, grabbing Cal and pulling him behind a fallen tree trunk. The predator landed with a thunderous crash, shaking loose clouds of pollen that stung their eyes. Its roar ripped through the forest, a low vibration that made every hair on Arya's arms stand on end. Rico fired. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air, striking the creature, but it barely flinched. The predator lunged again, jaws snapping close enough to crush bone. Cal screamed, and the honey badger sprang from his arms, growling fiercely, a tiny but fearless fury of teeth and claws. The predator hesitated, its glowing eyes narrowing at the bold little beast. Then, with a snarl, it lunged at the child. "Cal, move!" Arya shouted, diving forward. But the honey badger leaped, intercepting the predator's strike. It bit the predator's claw, squealing but holding tight. The predator yelped in surprise, momentarily distracted. Arya seized the chance. She grabbed a spear from her pack, thrusting it with all her strength. The tip sank into the creature's flank and it roared again, a sound that shook the leaves. But it was smart, too smart. It twisted, dislodging the spear, and charged again. Cal clutched the honey badger, tears in his eyes. "It's going to get us," he cried. Arya's eyes burned with determination. "No. We're smarter than it thinks." She signaled to Rico, who nodded, understanding immediately. Together, they baited the predator toward a series of hanging vines and natural pits they had noticed earlier. The predator, driven by instinct and hunger, followed, growling and snapping, its yellow eyes fixed on the child. "Now, Cal," Arya shouted. The boy dropped a small, glowing orb, a simple gadget meant to release a blinding light. It erupted into a pulse that momentarily blinded the predator, forcing it to stumble into a pit covered by vines. Dust and leaves rained down, and for a heartbeat, the forest seemed to exhale. The honey badger jumped down, circling the pit, teeth bared. The predator clawed and roared, but it was trapped. Arya exhaled, her chest heaving. Rico wiped sweat from his brow, disbelief written across his face. You actually did it," he said, looking at Cal and the honey badger. Cal's eyes sparkled with pride. "We did it, together," he whispered. The honey badger barked, tiny but fierce, as if agreeing. The silence returned slowly, but it was different now, filled with cautious respect. The humans had shown the jungle that they were not prey. They were clever, brave, and dangerous in ways the predators had not expected. Arya looked at her team, the child and the small guardian. A grin cracked her face despite exhaustion. "Let's keep moving," she said. "The forest may be quiet, but I know this isn't over. Something bigger is watching us. And next time, it won't hesitate." From the shadows, unseen eyes glimmered, and a low, rumbling growl whispered across the treetops. The humans had survived the first strike, but the jungle had already begun planning its next challenge. And for the first time, the child and the honey badger were not just companions. They were heroes, small but fearless, in a world that had learned not to underestimate humans. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Dust hung in the air from the predator's fall, leaves trembling with unseen movement. Captain Arya Kane wiped sweat from her brow and peered down at the pit. The apex predator below snarled, its claws scrabbling at the vines, its molten eyes burning with hatred. "Think it's done?" Lieutenant Rico asked, voice shaking. Arya shook her head. "No. This was just a warning." Her eyes scanned the dense jungle, every shadow a possible threat. She knew the predator hierarchy here was smarter than anything humans had faced before. And now it would call others. A sudden, low rumble rolled through the ground. Trees swayed violently as the soil cracked beneath their feet. Arya grabbed Cal and the honey badger, urging them behind a massive fern. The child's small hands trembled as the honey badger's claws dug into his arm, sensing his fear. "What now?" Cal whispered. Arya's jaw tightened. "Now we fight smart. Stay calm and watch the openings." Before they could react, a shape darted from the canopy, a new predator, taller and more slender than the last, with iridescent scales that reflected the sunlight in violent streaks of blue and green. Its limbs were spindly but deadly, tipped with dagger-like claws that clicked against the tree bark. Its head turned unnaturally, surveying the humans with a chilling intelligence. Rico shouted, "It's faster than anything we've trained for." The creature leapt, covering the space between branches and ground in a blur. Arya fired a plasma bolt, but the alien twisted mid-air, dodging the shot with impossible grace. Its long tail whipped, knocking a tree trunk toward them. Cal shrieked as the honey badger leaped forward, biting the creature's tail and pulling with all its strength. "Good girl?" Arya yelled, reaching for a tethered spear. The predator hissed and spun, claws slicing the air mere inches from her face. She lunged, driving the spear into the alien's side, feeling the resistance of alien muscle and scale. The creature shrieked and spun, slamming into a tree. "Keep it distracted," Arya commanded. She could see other shadows moving, smaller predators emerging from the undergrowth, circling, curious and hungry. Rico nodded and grabbed a flare gun, firing high into the canopy. The sudden burst of light startled some predators, forcing them back, but only for a heartbeat. Arya's mind raced. She had to find a way to turn the jungle itself into a weapon. "Cal," she called, kneeling in front of him. "Do you remember the traps we saw near the creek?" The boy nodded slowly, still clutching the honey badger. The vines and the pits?" "Exactly. Help us lead them there. We can't fight all of them head-on." Cal's eyes widened, but the honey badger leapt from his arms onto a fallen log, growling at the approaching creatures. Arya smiled. Small but fearless, it would guide the humans where they needed to go. The predators advanced, testing the humans, claws scratching the dirt, teeth glinting in sunlight. Arya whispered, "Move now." The group ran, weaving through the thick ferns, luring the predators toward the pit traps Cal remembered. The honey badger darted back and forth, a blur of courage, taunting and drawing the first predator into the open. A loud crack split the air as a predator lunged toward Cal. The boy dodged instinctively, tumbling behind a low branch. The honey badger attacked, biting the predator's forelimb. The alien howled in pain, staggering directly over a concealed pit. Arya seized the moment, slashing a vine to release a net of falling debris. The predator plummeted into the pit, thrashing wildly. "Two down, but more are coming," Rico shouted, wiping dirt from his brow. Arya's eyes narrowed. She spotted a massive shadow overhead, a true apex predator, larger than the others, moving with a terrifying grace through the trees. Its roar shook the leaves, sending birds and smaller creatures scattering in panic. The jungle seemed to tremble with its presence. "We can't outrun that one," Arya said, voice tight with determination. "We need brains, not speed. Follow my lead." She grabbed a bundle of glowing vines, flicking them toward the predator. The vines wrapped around its legs, snagging on branches. It roared, twisting to free itself, but the humans had prepared a second trap, a spike-line ditch hidden beneath the jungle floor. With a coordinated push from the team, aided by Cal and the honey badger, the creature tumbled into the pit, growling furiously. Arya collapsed to her knees, panting as the jungle fell silent once more. The predators were wounded or trapped, but the humans had proven their dominance, not through brute force alone, but through clever strategy, quick thinking and fearless courage. Cal hugged the honey badger tightly. "We did it, we really did it," he whispered, voice trembling with awe. Rico wiped sweat from his brow. "I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. The kid and the dog?" "It's no dog," Arya said sharply, smiling despite exhaustion. "It's a fighter. And so are we. Remember that. This jungle, it's dangerous. But we are smarter, faster, braver." From the shadows, more eyes glimmered. The humans had won the strike, but the jungle was alive, waiting. And somewhere beyond the dense trees, something even larger watched, learning. The honey badger barked fiercely, standing on Cal's shoulder. The child smiled through dirt and tears. "We're ready," he said. And for the first time, the humans and their small but fearless guardian truly felt unstoppable. The jungle was alive with whispers. Shadows slid along the trees, twisting unnaturally, as if the forest itself was watching. Captain Arya Kane led the group through a narrow ravine, the child Cal holding tightly to the honey badger, which chattered and sniffed the air constantly. "Something feels wrong," Rico muttered, scanning the canopy. Every vine and branch seemed to twitch with life. "It's too quiet again." "Quiet is never good," Arya said, crouching low. She gestured toward a series of natural pits hidden under moss and leaves. "These traps may save us. But we need to be smart. Move slow, keep your eyes open." A rustling sound came from above, a faint scuttling like claws against bark. Cal froze. "What is that?" Arya didn't answer. She only pointed upward, where a multi-limbed creature dropped silently from the canopy. Its 6 arms ended in razor claws, its translucent skin shimmered with a sickly green hue. Its head had no eyes, only a circular maw lined with teeth that clicked and ground as it smelled the humans. "Get down?" Arya yelled. Rico fired, but the creature twisted mid-air, dodging the shots with impossible flexibility. The honey badger hissed, racing forward, tiny but fearless, leaping onto one of the creature's limbs and biting with all its strength. The creature shrieked and spun, dislodging the honey badger, but the animal rolled and pounced again, targeting the soft underbelly where the scales were thinner. Cal's hands shook, but he picked up a glowing tether from his belt. "Here, use this," he shouted, tossing it to Arya. She caught it mid-step and flung it across the path. It wrapped around the creature's claws, tangling them just long enough for Rico to fire a plasma net. The creature screeched and fell, pinned to a tree. "Nice work, kid," Arya said, eyes scanning for more threats. The jungle seemed to respond to the commotion. Leaves rustled violently, and the ground vibrated with the approach of something heavier. A new predator emerged, its body armored in jagged scales, massive and lumbering yet terrifyingly fast. Its eyes glowed like molten silver, and its tail lashed behind it like a whip. "Another one?" Rico gasped, stepping back. Arya shook her head. "We don't run. We use the jungle." She grabbed a branch, pointing toward the hidden pits along the ravine. "Lead it toward the traps. Cal, stay close. Honey badger, guide." The predator roared and charged, a wave of sheer power. Arya dove to the side, drawing it toward the moss-covered pits. The honey badger darted in front, barking fiercely, taunting the creature with fearless precision. The predator snapped at it, missing each time, blinded by rage. Cal's eyes widened. "It's going to." "Not if we're clever," Arya yelled. She kicked a loose rock onto a hidden trigger, and the ground gave way beneath the predator's weight. It fell into a concealed pit lined with sharpened spikes, thrashing violently but contained. For a heartbeat, the humans thought the danger had passed. Then a low, rhythmic thump echoed from the jungle floor. Hundreds of smaller predators, alert and intelligent, began closing in, surrounding the team. Their movements were coordinated, almost hive-like, as if the jungle had called them. "We're surrounded," Rico said, panic creeping into his voice. "Think, don't panic," Arya snapped. "We set the traps. Use them. The jungle is our weapon." She picked up a fallen vine, tying it to a spike and flicking it toward the nearest predator. It got caught and yelped, but more were coming. Cal's small voice broke through. "The honey badger can lead them." The child's courage was shining, his fear replaced with determination. The honey badger barked, leaping onto a fallen log and then sprinting into the dense underbrush. The predators followed, distracted by the fearless creature. "Now!" Arya shouted. She and Rico triggered the traps simultaneously. The forest erupted in chaos. Nets, spikes, and falling logs took down half the predators. The rest were lured into natural pitfalls, struggling and snarling as the humans pressed forward. The team paused, breathing heavily, blood and sweat staining their clothes and weapons. The honey badger jumped onto Cal's shoulder, tail twitching proudly. That was too close," Rico said, wiping sweat and dirt from his face. Arya's gaze swept the forest. "We survived, yes. But this is just one layer of danger. There's something bigger watching. Something smarter." She knelt, putting a hand on Cal's shoulder. "But look at you. Look at her. You two are fearless. That's why we survived." Cal smiled faintly, exhaustion mixed with pride. "We can do it again?" Arya chuckled softly. "We'll have to. The jungle won't stop sending threats. But together, nothing can break us. A new rustle from the canopy froze them all. Something massive shifted overhead, moving silently but with deadly intent. The jungle's shadows danced, the air thick with anticipation. The humans had survived this wave, but the forest was far from done. The honey badger growled low, sensing the new predator, while Cal hugged it tighter. Arya lifted her plasma rifle, eyes narrowing. Let's show it why humans are the apex of cleverness and courage. The jungle shook as the ground trembled beneath the approach of something enormous. Captain Arya Kane and her team froze behind a fallen tree, dust swirling in the air. The honey badger crouched low on Cal's shoulder, tail twitching, claws digging into his jacket. Even the air seemed heavy, as if the forest itself held its breath. Whatever that is, it's bigger than anything we've faced, Rico muttered, eyes wide. Arya's gaze narrowed. Bigger, smarter, and deadly. But it won't break us. Remember what we've done so far? Brains and courage win over strength every time. A shadow fell across the clearing, massive and fluid, moving with terrifying grace. The apex predator Arya had sensed finally revealed itself. A hulking creature with armor-like scales, 6 muscular limbs ending in wicked claws, and eyes that glowed like molten silver. Its roar shook the treetops, sending birds screaming into the alien sky. Cal clutched the honey badger tightly. It's going to kill us. His voice trembled, but he didn't let go of the creature on his shoulder. Arya knelt beside him. It can't. Not if we're smart. Watch me. She scanned the clearing, noting fallen branches, vines, and pits they had barely noticed before. We're not just running. We're turning the jungle into a trap. And we have help. The honey badger hissed, sensing the predator's focus. It darted from Cal's shoulder, circling the massive creature, its tiny form fearless and bold. The predator snapped at it, claws slashing through the air. Keep it busy, Arya shouted. She grabbed a flexible vine, tying a glowing tether to its end. Rico, on my mark. The apex predator charged, muscles rippling, jaw snapping. The honey badger leapt onto its front limb, biting and clawing, snarling louder than the child could. Cal shouted encouragement, his fear transforming into determination. Go. Distract it. Rico fired the tether, wrapping it around one of the predator's limbs. The creature roared in pain and surprise, thrashing wildly, but the humans had already prepared the next step. Arya tugged a hidden vine, pulling a large fallen tree across the predator's path. It crashed into the ground with a thunderous impact, staggering the beast. For a brief moment, the apex predator hesitated, eyes narrowing. Then, something unexpected happened. It tilted its head and snarled, almost as if understanding. Its movements slowed, and instead of attacking, it backed away slightly, circling the humans with cautious curiosity. What is it doing? Rico whispered, disbelief written on his face. Arya didn't lower her weapon. It's sizing us up. It knows we're clever and fearless. That's why it's pausing. We can work with this. The honey badger barked sharply, darting in front of the predator, testing its reaction. The apex beast sniffed, growled, and then, astonishingly, lowered its massive head slightly. Its claws stayed raised but did not strike. Arya's mind raced. Cal, she said softly, kneeling, stay calm. She's going to help us. We can make this work together. Cal nodded, trembling but resolute. He extended a hand toward the apex predator, the honey badger standing on his shoulder as if offering reassurance. The creature growled low, but it didn't attack. It seemed curious. Follow my lead, Arya whispered. She motioned to Rico to move forward, showing the predator the series of traps they had prepared. The massive beast watched, understanding, or so it seemed. When Arya gave the signal, the predator leapt with precision, knocking smaller predators into the pits and clearing the path for the humans. Did it just help us? Rico stammered, his eyes wide. Arya allowed herself a small smile. Yes, but don't get comfortable. It's still wild. Respect it, or it could turn in a heartbeat. The humans moved cautiously through the jungle, the honey badger darting ahead and the apex predator following. Smaller predators that had surrounded them earlier now scattered, wary of the massive beast's presence. The jungle itself seemed to acknowledge this unexpected alliance. Cal exhaled, awe and excitement mingling in his voice. We're not alone. We've got friends? Arya nodded, eyes scanning the trees. Yes, but we earned it. Brains, courage, and trust, things no predator can ignore. That's what makes humans apex. Suddenly, a low rumble echoed from deeper in the forest. Something else was approaching. Even the apex predator stiffened, muscles tensing. Arya raised her plasma rifle, heart pounding. It's not over. Not even close. But now we fight smarter, together. The child hugged the honey badger, and the massive creature shifted closer, a silent guardian and equal. The humans were no longer just survivors. They were leaders of this dangerous, alien jungle, clever enough to bend even the apex predators to respect and fear them. Arya's voice was firm, calm, and commanding. Stay alert. Move together. Outsmart. Outfight. Outlast. That's what humans do. And as the jungle watched, another shadow moved on the horizon, something larger, darker, and more cunning. But this time, the humans had allies no predator could anticipate. Bravery, intelligence, and instinct had forged an alliance that even the deadliest jungle could not ignore. The jungle seemed alive with anticipation. Even the air shimmered with tension, thick with the scent of alien flora and predator musk. Captain Arya Kane crouched behind a fallen log, eyes sweeping the treeline. Cal held the honey badger close, feeling its claws dig reassuringly into his shoulder. Both knew the final challenge had come. Do you see them? Rico whispered, voice barely audible. Arya nodded, jaw tight. Every shadow is a threat. Every leaf could hide death. But we are ready. This is it, the last stand. From the dense foliage, silhouettes emerged, dozens of apex predators, bigger, faster, and smarter than any they had faced before. Their eyes glowed like molten metal, teeth bared, tails whipping with lethal precision. The jungle trembled under their combined weight, and the humans felt the ground vibrate beneath their feet. Cal swallowed hard, voice trembling. We can't fight all of them. You're right, Arya said, her tone steady, commanding. We don't fight them all. We fight smart. Watch, learn, and move. Clever beats strong every time. The honey badger leapt from Cal's arms, hissing fiercely. It darted between the predators, tiny but relentless, drawing their attention. One of the massive beasts lunged, jaws snapping, but the honey badger twisted, biting its leg and rolling away. Cal's eyes widened. Go. Go, girl. Arya signaled Rico, and together they triggered a series of hidden traps. Fallen trees swung down, vines shot out to entangle limbs, and pits revealed themselves at the perfect moments. Predators yelped, fell, and were momentarily slowed, giving the humans precious seconds to maneuver. Keep moving. Arya shouted, sprinting across a clearing with California close behind. We need the high ground. Above them, a rocky outcrop provided a vantage point. Arya grabbed Cal's hand and pulled him up, the honey badger leaping ahead as if it knew the safest path. From their new position, they could see the full scale of the predator's assault. Each creature was calculating, adapting to the humans' traps, but the humans had one advantage the predators did not. They could plan together, anticipate, and adapt faster. Rico fired coordinated bursts, signaling directions with hand gestures. Arya moved silently, tying vines across branches and creating improvised snares. The apex predators roared and crashed through the underbrush, but each human move, each calculated step, turned the predator's own power against them. Cal's voice broke through the chaos. They're coming from the left. More of them. Arya saw them, 3 massive predators flanking from the jungle's edge. Without hesitation, she grabbed a glowing tether and swung it toward the nearest tree. Sparks ignited the vine, and it whipped through the air, tangling the predators in a web of light and fire. The creatures yelped, struggling, but the humans pressed their advantage. The honey badger jumped onto the largest predator, biting its armored leg. It roared, spinning violently, but Arya had anticipated it. She pulled a trigger that released a hidden net of spikes from the rocks above, pinning the predator down. Rico shouted in disbelief. I can't believe that worked. Arya wiped blood and sweat from her brow, her gaze unbroken. Believe it? That's humans for you. Brains, courage, and instinct, always sharper than teeth and claws. The remaining predators hesitated, sensing the humans' dominance. The apex predator from the previous alliance stepped forward, tail flicking, guarding the humans from the rest. The smaller creatures faltered, unsure how to proceed. The jungle seemed to pause, watching this unlikely coalition of humans and apex beasts. Cal laughed, a mixture of relief and disbelief. We did it. We won. The honey badger chirped and barked, tail flicking proudly. Arya's voice was calm but full of triumph. We survived this wave, yes. But remember, humans aren't just survivors. We adapt. We outthink. And when we work together, no predator, no jungle, no challenge, can stop us. From the treetops, Sunlight finally broke through the dense canopy, illuminating the clearing. Dust rose from the fallen predators, and the forest slowly returned to a cautious silence. The humans and their tiny, fearless guardian stood tall, victorious. They had faced the deadliest creatures of the jungle, cleverness and courage their greatest weapons. Rico lowered his weapon, shaking his head. I never thought we'd make it through. Arya smiled, exhaustion and pride mingling in her expression. We did. Not just because we're strong but because we're human. We learn. We plan. We fight smarter than anything else out there. Cal hugged the honey badger tightly. And we have friends, he whispered. The apex predator from their unexpected alliance nudged the honey badger gently, a silent acknowledgement of respect. Arya lifted her head, eyes sweeping the jungle one last time. This forest tried to break us. But it didn't. We're not just part of this world, we are its apex, clever and unbroken. The sun rose higher, casting golden light over the victorious humans and the jungle around them. For the first time in weeks the air felt calm. The jungle had been tested, and it had learned that humans were not prey. They were apex, fearless and unyielding. Cal smiled, looking up at Arya. What now? Arya laughed softly, her eyes fierce with determination. Now, we keep moving. We keep surviving. And we keep proving that nothing, no creature, no jungle, no challenge, can outsmart a human. The honey badger chirped in agreement, and together the humans and their allies vanished into the dense forest, ready for whatever else the alien world could throw at them.